Welcome. It's me, Aaron the Artist. Thanks for sitting down with me today for another relaxing art lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to be going over how to draw the anime head. Now, there's a very popular method for drawing the head in general, which is called the Loomis method. And I'm going to be showing you how to use that method and create a kind of variation for anime. So let's get to it. Now, most tutorials on how to draw the head start off with a circle divided in half, and I'm going to follow that tradition. And then I'm going to chop off two slithers, one from either side of the circle, so that we've got more of a box shape. Those two slithers on either side are the sides of the head. Next, I'm going to put in some guidelines for where to place the facial features. And this first line that you see me putting in is going to show us where the eyebrows are going to sit. Now, I know that's particularly quite low down on the face, but I just want you to bear with me on this one because most modern anime styles have characteristically huge foreheads, which means that we end up drawing the brow line quite a bit lower than we would on a realistic face. In any case, this line up here is going to show us where the hairline sits, assuming the character doesn't have a fringe or something like that. We can put in the nose right at the bottom of the circle here like this. Now, this distance here between the eyebrows and the nose, we can just repeat that distance underneath so that we get the distance from the nose to the bottom of the chin, and you can see the bottom of the chin will go right here. Now that we've split the face into these different segments, we've got some idea where the facial features are going to sit. I want to add the jaw. Now, we're going to start down at the chin, and we're going to draw some lines at roughly a 45-degree angle, curving upwards towards the sides of the head. As we start to get nearer to the sides of the head, we need to gradually increase the steepness of that line so that it connects squarely back up to the sides. That gives us the basic shape of our anime head, huge forehead included. I want to stress the forehead size for a third time. You can see how the eyebrows sit roughly in the middle of the entire head, giving us the same distance from the eyebrows to the chin as you have from the eyebrows to the top of the head. Now, I sometimes find this to be a little bit too much distance from eyebrow to top of the head, depending on the character and the style that you're going for. But I think it's easier to overshoot it and then to shave some of the forehead off than it is to draw it too small and then try to add it later. Anyway, to complete our guidelines, I like to add the eye sockets so that they can help me later when I come to place the eyes. We're going to leave a little bit of space in between the sockets and a tiny little bit of space on either side next to the ears, but other than that, the rest of that area is for the sockets. You can feel free to extend the eye sockets right the way down in the way indicated if you want to for an anime head, because they really do have quite large eyes, so large sockets would be natural as well. These two lines that I'm about to draw show you where the cheekbones sit. Now, this quite often isn't that visible on anime styles, if at all, but it's nice to keep in mind where it is, just to make sure that you're getting the anatomy correct. If you follow that rhythm from the ear, like I have done, you can see roughly where the cheekbones start to go. I like to have a little bit of an indication of where the eyes are going to go as well, just so that I make sure that I'm preserving that space in between the eyes, making sure that that's roughly one eye distance. The mouth can sit about halfway between the nose and the chin. If you're going to shift it up a little bit, that's fine too, but certainly not too much lower than that. And there you go. These are the guidelines that I would use for drawing an anime head from the front view. Now, I will show you how I would go ahead and turn this into a character at the end of the video, but let's move on and do the three-quarter view, which I think is more challenging. Alright, well, we're going to start in exactly the same way that we started before, with a simple circle, but this time our character is going to be facing to the left, and because they're facing to the left, we have to chop off more of the circle on the right-hand side. To do that, it's going to look a bit different to the way it looked the first time. This time, we're going to draw a circle inside of our original circle, just like this, to show that we're chopping off a little bit of our ball shape. And then we're going to draw the center line of our sphere, pointing off to the left, because that's the direction that our character is going to be facing. It's important as we put in these kind of guidelines that we understand that the circle that we're drawing is actually a sphere, and that these lines need to wrap around the sphere in the way that you can see me doing here. In terms of the placement of the facial features, everything goes in the same place that it went in the front view. From top to bottom, you can see I've got a line showing where the hairline will be, then a line where the eyebrows will sit, roughly just underneath halfway down the circle. Then we've got a line at the bottom of the circle where the nose will be, and finally a line for the chin. I've always found it tricky to add the jaw from this angle, so we're going to start from the eyebrow line and follow the path of the circle just for a little bit, and then we're going to start dropping down in a vertical way until we get to roughly where the nose is. And once we get to where the nose is, we curve in again at that roughly 45-degree angle. Maybe it's a little bit steeper this time, down towards the point of the chin. And then on the other side, we're wrapping back up towards the side plane of the head that we indicated earlier. You can see I drew a vertical line down through the side plane of the head quite a while ago. Now, I did that because that is exactly where the ear is going to sit. And if you indicate that, it can help you see where the jaw is going to connect, because the jaw is going to connect up with that ear, and the ear is going to sit right in the center of the side plane of the head. Everything sort of links up together in this nice rhythmic way. It's time now to add the eye sockets. I always find it easier to draw the eye socket that's turning away from the face first. From there, I'm usually able to gauge the distance between it and the eye socket that sits on the nearer side. If you want to find that cheekbone from this angle, you can follow the curve of the ear down past the eye socket and then down towards the chin, and that's roughly where that divide is going to be. That is all the guidelines that I would use for this angle. Now, this angle is complicated by the fact that you have to draw it in perspective, because a 3/4 view involves turning the character away from the camera. And so because of that, you get some squishing on the side that is turned further away because of the perspective. You can see when I rough in the eyes here that the eye on the right is quite a bit wider than the eye on the left. Now I can show you real quickly why that's the case. If I was to draw the side of a box here, pushing away from us in space, and divide it into these 3 sections, you'll be able to see that as the box moves further away from us, the parts that are further away appear squished compared to the parts that are closer. Now if I were to draw a kind of cartoon eye here, just these ovals, you can see again that the oval nearer to us appears less squished than the oval further away. And that's just a little perspective trick. But enough of that, let's move on to our final drawing, the side view. Now for a side view, we're able to start off in exactly the same way as we did with the others, drawing a circle. But now when we draw the side plane is now facing us directly because the head is on the side. It's the front plane that we can no longer see. So you can see that I'm not chopping anything off, but instead drawing the side plane directly facing us. We can still draw all of our guidelines for the hairline, the eyebrow line, the nose, and the chin in all the same places. But this time we're going to add the side of the face instead of the jaw, and we're going to drop it straight down in a vertical line. To draw the nose and the mouth from this angle, we're going to draw a kind of snout, which involves coming out for the nose at about a 45-degree angle, and then connecting back up to the chin underneath. All of our facial features are going to sit within this snout. Now I should say, I know there's been some controversy about this. It's not the case that you have to fit all the features inside of this snout. There are definitely real people who don't fit this mold. I doubt very much that I fit this mold, but it is a very anime thing to do nonetheless. To draw the nose and the mouth from this angle, we now need to think about drawing a kind of zigzag that moves down towards the chin. You can see that the zigs and the zags, if that's what we want to call them, get smaller as we get down towards the chin. Now again, not everybody's face does that, but it is a fairly easy way to simplify things. Just very quickly, we want to add the ear at that halfway line that we drew down the middle of the circle, and then we can add the eye socket right at the very edge of the circle, just before the nose starts to poke out. And there you have it, the basic guidelines which show you how to plan out the face in the front, the 3/4, and the side view. Now, it'd be a bit of a boring video, I think, if we just left it at that. I'm going to show you how I would use those guidelines now to draw an anime face over the top of them. Now, this video isn't about how to draw any particular features, so you're going to see me whizzing through that at quite a fast time-lapse pace. but I still hope that you can see how you would use guidelines like this to create your own characters. Alright, well, we're just about done now. I'm just doing some final cleanups with the black colored pencil just to make sure that everything stands out nicely, polish off the illustration. And then I'm going to be using the eraser just to get rid of some of those dirty marks around the page. Now, I can't get rid of all of this. Some of these marks are the result of the fact that I drew the guidelines darker than I normally would so that you guys would be able to see them. In a normal case, I would draw the guidelines much fainter than this so that they would be easier to erase and you wouldn't have such a muddy finish. But anyway, that is how I would draw the guidelines for anime characters in the front view, the three-quarter view, and the side view. Thank you again for sitting down for another art lesson. I do hope you've learned a thing or two about drawing. If you want to see any of my original art, you can see it over on YouTube Shorts. And until next time, have a nice day, folks.